Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. This is Season 2, Episode 4 of The Corner Office, and today my special guest is Cody Morash, who's the Manager of Suite Strategy and Execution over at Telus Business. Additionally, we're coming to you live from 118 Empire, downtown Calgary. It's a great little venue, excellent bourbon. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, Cody, thank you for joining me here on The Corner Office. How are you making out today?
I'm doing really well, actually. Thank you so much for having me. I'm joining you from somewhere a bit taboo right now. I am actually at the new Telus office in downtown Calgary.
Wow, actually in an office. That's impressive.
Actually in an office.
Well, great. So then I assume you're hitting the hard liquor today. What are you drinking?
So I've just come off of a long weekend of camping, and I thought that my liver could use a bit of a rest. So I am drinking kombucha, which is a fermented green tea, essentially. It's better than it sounds. And if you Google it, it's way better than it looks.
It sounds like a sneeze, and I did Google it, and yeah.
And it's terrifying, right?
It is terrifying.
If you are going to try it on tap. And it will change your life. I'm so addicted to this stuff now, which is better than being addicted to some other things, I suppose.
I guess. I'm just afraid that if I try a detox, that there'd be nothing left.
I can understand why you might be worried.
Might be a 100-pound guy that might just blow away in a strong wind at that point. You never know.
Yeah, well, we can't risk that. So what are you drinking?
Well, actually, so today I've got a little bit of an ode to the prairies. Of course, you're in Calgary, part of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, of course, which is make up the Canadian prairies. So today, a good friend of mine, also an Albertan, Greg Whiskey, he's from the industry. He posted the other day that he was drinking a D3CR, which I didn't know what that was, other than I thought maybe a Star Wars reference. But I looked it up, and it's actually Coke, cranberry, and Canadian Crown Royal whiskey, which is brewed, of course, in distilled in Gimli, Manitoba. And it's actually really, really nice. It's 3 parts of each over ice, and it's great. Salud.
Cheers.
And of course, I'm drinking it in forgot to mention, my Lakeland College mug, which is where I went to college, which is right on the border of Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Lloydminster. So see, it's an ode to the prairies. That type.
So very Canadian today.
So very Canadian. You bet. There's going to be a beaver, maybe a flying squirrel here in a few minutes. You never know what's going on.
Amazing. Amazing.
All right. So you know how this goes. Tell me your best joke or pun.
Oh, well, I've got a joke about a man and his sheep, but stop me if you've heard it before. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was better than anything else I could come up with. I don't know enough 6-year-olds, I don't think.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't pull the wool over my eyes on that one at all.
No, I know. Sorry. When it comes to jokes, I'm just a bit fuzzy.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. All right. Well, that's all right. Well, knowing that jokes isn't your strong suit, let's move on. Let's hope business is.
We'll find my strong suit in here somewhere, I swear.
So, the recent COVID-19 crisis, of course, Season 2 is of the Corner Office is all about reopening and getting back to work. And of course, you being in the Telus corporate office is exactly that. How has it impacted Telus's, kind of business, specifically, Telus Business, Telus Hospitality? What have you changed going forward?
What haven't we changed? I think it's probably as good a question. So we were moving into our new Calgary office. We were meant to move in March. And of course, that has only partially happened. I'm one of the few people who are actually able to access our buildings right now. So that is a huge change for us. We went from a very, very on-site workforce to a 100% remote workforce overnight. And I mean, we've all been able to work remotely for years. It's one of the key things I actually love about this company. But if I did a pan of the camera, you would see moving boxes and you would see plastic still on all of the paintings. But it's so nice to be able to have access to something that feels this normal when most people don't. So we are slowly starting to reopen. We have one floor of this building that is open for traffic. I'm not on that building. On that floor. So that's probably the biggest thing. We have to fill out a form to come into the office now. That's neat. Mm-hmm. Masks obviously are mandatory. Today my mask coordinates rather well with my outfit and is from a local company in northern Alberta that makes all of their masks. So fun to support our local communities through all of this. So that would be number one. Number two is really, our cash flows and revenues have been impacted just like everybody else's. Fortunately, we are in a position where we can help our customers, at least to some extent. So when everything shut down it was March 16th here in Alberta, we very quickly started to look at ways that we could help our customers to deal with the fact that businesses were shutting right down. And so we looked at ways that we could suspend their services and basically stop some of that cash flow bleed for them because we are in a position that we can take a bit more of a hit. So we've suspended services to a number of hotels for a number of months. Thankfully, most of those have at least partially reopened, if not fully. And that's really helped to keep one less thing to worry about. If you're not worried about paying your TV and internet bill, you're just worrying about keeping your staff safe and what your future mode of operations looks like. So that's been really huge for us. And it's been something that we've been wanting to tackle to help in other ways, in other industries for a while. We've also looked at, for those who weren't completely shutting down, how do we get more flexible and how do we get really creative as it comes to, working with our customers. We know, like in Canada, we've got something called CERB, which is one of the benefits that the government has given, and it's helpful. But really, some of the companies that shut down earlier and took earlier access to some of the government benefits are now in a position where they have to repay loans or repay some of the grant money that was given, and so it hasn't been as helpful long term. And when we were defining how we were going to respond as a company in those early days, we knew we needed to do something that wasn't just going to push the pain 6 months down the road. Yeah. And so that's where we've gone.
Great. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, ultimately, for those viewers that aren't familiar with Telus, of course, is one of the three major carriers that we have in Canada. Mm-hmm. Telus, of course, has coverage, wireless coverage coast to coast, and of course wired coverage mainly from central and western Canada. So they've got a plethora of clients and of all ranges, from television clients for IPTV, I think, in hospitality, as well as mobility, and then as well as communications, so telco and internet and so forth. So yeah, to try to figure out how to help all those clients, both business and residential, as well as government, it would have been a feat, I'm sure, for you and your team.
Yeah, it's been really incredible to see, sort of from the front lines as well, what this move to remote working and learning has done to our networks. That was another one of the things we really had to focus on in those early days, was how do we make sure the networks remain viable when all of a sudden you offload a ton of traffic and you've got Zoom meetings happening for classes and where they normally wouldn't be. And so we virtually overnight had to increase the traffic capacity of all of our core networks coast to coast, and keep everything up and running and stable for all Canadians.
And all your residential, your residential requirements for internet must have got through the roof, I would imagine.
Bananas, yes. Yes, and it's interesting to see too how, for so many years there have been reports of that, TV is dead. TV watching is definitely not dead. traditional linear service is also through the roof. And not to say that Netflix usage isn't up as well, but definitely all kinds of screen time have increased.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You can only binge watch Orange is the New Black so many times, right?
Yeah. What do you do when you run out of Netflix shows to watch, right?
Yeah, this is true. Very true. Well, you start on Crave, which is another Canadian streaming provider, and then you move to some of the others, Amazon Prime, etc. You bet. So, do you have any recommendations, Cody, for those in the industry that are opening up? I mean, as you know, Canada is a little bit further ahead based on our COVID numbers than some of the other countries that are out there, as particularly our neighbors to the south. But do you have any recommendations for anybody, any other businesses, anything like that?
I think one of the things that really stands out for me in working with my own team is just emotions are high. Focusing on mental health is absolutely critical. Ensuring that your teams have a safe place to disconnect and methods to recharge, whatever that looks like for them. We're lucky here. The Rocky Mountains are, an hour's drive away. And so it's really easy to get out into nature. But there was a time a couple of months ago when the outdoors were close to us as well. And so, just understanding that emotions are running at probably an all-time high and people are responding in different ways than they normally would. Patience is key, finding ways to find your zen and your calm. I've gotten into meditation because it was either that or, become a major stress ball. And it's really helping to give my team that space that they need as well. Yeah. So that would be the first thing that we've been practicing here. And the second is a bit of a throwback. A couple of years ago, our team went and did improv classes as a team builder. And one of the key tenets of improv is you can't say but, you should always say yes and. And it really helps spark creativity and flexibility. And so we've brought some of those rules back into our team and into our meetings. And it adds a bit of levity where otherwise it could be a stodgy, boring meeting. Because the yes and can come at some interesting times. And it's also helped us to really find unique ways of helping our customers so they can help theirs.
Yes, and the improv did not help your joke telling skills.
No, it really didn't.
Okay.
And it helped me roll with it. I'm okay with the fact that I am a terrible comedian.
All right. That's a good point. So how about where do you see the industry going in the next few years?
8 months ago,
yeah,
I think my answer was different.
Drink your Zambuca or your kombucha or Zambuca? Kombucha.
No, Zambuca is the flammable one. Kombucha is the non-flammable one.
Okay, one is party, the other is just tea.
Bang on. So, yeah, I guess when we first shut down on March 16th, I thought, okay, this is going to suck for a couple of weeks, where, maybe a couple of months, and then things are going to get back to normal pretty quickly. And it's been interesting to see, in a lot of cases, our government's responded really quickly, at least here in Canada. But in other ways, they've been kind of slow to respond. And so corporations have really stepped up to fill that gap. Things like mandating mask wearing. Here in Calgary, it only became required in a public space on August 1st. But Telus has mandated it for all of our frontline technicians since the outbreak, since mid-March. And I think that really goes a long way to protecting the health of our companies and economies. But I think it's a bit surprising how much more we all need to be doing. COVID fatigue is definitely starting to set in, and people are craving normal. I drive past the airport on my way to work every day, and I look very longingly at the airport, and I miss the inside of an airplane, and I miss staying at hotels. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. And I think, staycations, drive-to vacations, none of this is earth-shattering, but I think there's so much validity to it. It's so critical to just have that feeling of something that used to be so normal and is now so irregular to have a night, to have an overnight. I also think that that meetings are going to come back. They're going to have to. We've been a company that has enabled remote working for over a decade, and it's awesome. The problem, though, is that you can't do everything remotely. What you lose with the face-to-face cannot be replaced, no matter how good the bandwidth is and how good the meeting tech. Yep. Nothing replaces actually sitting down and having that face-to-face meeting, sharing a meal, having a drink with colleagues and friends.
Hello.
And so I think that people are going to get very creative, and I think that the industry is going to get more creative at finding ways to enable that, so that we can start to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, that drive, that yearning is there to be with people again, and to spend, that quality face time with them, not FaceTime, but actual in-person FaceTime. And yeah, I can't wait for that as well. It's got to happen sooner than later, but of course, respectfully and safely. So, for sure. Well, look, that's great, Cody. I mean, I greatly appreciate you being here. I greatly appreciate you, spending some time with me today. I still don't understand your drink. I don't think I ever will. The detox thing just is not appealing to me. But to each their own. So on that note, thank you for being here, and cheers.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Corner Office. I hope you've enjoyed it. Special thanks to Cody Morash for being my guest today. I've included her LinkedIn information below should you wish to contact her. Additionally, a great big thanks to 118 Empire for hosting us. Again, it's a great bourbon bar in downtown Calgary, and they've got a great way of preparing the bourbon and bringing it together. So please, highly recommend this place. For more information on Safety NetAccess, our products and our services, please visit www.safetynetaccess.com. Additionally, if you like what we're doing here on the Corner Office, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, be safe, be healthy, and hey, don't forget to be happy. Cheers, everyone.
When I met an old sweetheart I used to know, when he touched my hand, a trembling shook my body, and I remembered how I used to love him so.
We passed an hour with talk and scotch and water. Then she told me that she would be leaving soon. But we were hungry for some precious stolen moments. Now here we are in this moment.